kids stuck on this earthly pilgrimage, lost or will to live. The kingdom's at hand, place of bitch because of mental explosion, brain corrosion, collecting heads and roaming, awaken the lost tribes that's the dozing. The prophets have erosion to resurrect the chosen, while the universe stands frozen. The prophecies start unfolding, exploding. While the whole world sleeps, the shepherds are lost, sheep creep deep to the golden gates. It's Esau, the Lord hates, from crime to thievery to even murder and rape. We close the drapes, watch them like grapes, while these fakes that perpetrate my people's there's no equal in it. We do the Deuteronomy 7 and 6. I know it's hard like bricks, but don't trip, we got the kingdom coming. No more slumming and bumming, the Lord's coming. Busting through, reach St. John 4 and 22, and guess who? The Lord's got us for. Settle the score. All you heathens hit the floor. See these 12 stars, defenders of the law. Tiger wasn't up to par for this. Scandalous, murderous, evangelist who's girded up, ready to die for the words of the script. We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel. We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel.
It's on. I pop my color like spawn. Transform the sandstorm, right? I take storm, reborn like the children of the corn with the going on. Legion is swarm, be warm, sound of alarms, the horn. Dreams like hideous screams, posted in between ivory beams. Israelite kings, careless as particular cancer, bandage and damage and challenges. Brandish hang up the silence and smite them light on like halogens. Oh yeah, drop the ass, spark the block up, super shoulders, dropping bombs, bows and boulders. Big shots, plays, big buzz with big ballers. I stop blazing weed to stack dollars. Got more styles, more grooves than Elijah One got post moves. So smooth, so cool, roll through and rush. You see lyrical vocals, cold crush and flow through. Sandstorm riders inside us a motherfucking riot. Phantom menaces with nail wrinkles of blemishes. And it's the venomous citizens witness the advantages in. Back to Genesis, it's simple and plain. We got you breaking for the bridge like Ichabod Crane. It's on.
We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel. We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel.
I represent the struggle for excellence. No one can keep alive. A ghetto survivor born in a generation of vipers. The venom be the backbite, hating individuals here. Snake slither and snare, we don't feel over here.
Affliction is straight rough on the J, especially when you've been thrown in a pit of snakes. My breath intake be great, my mind state is like whatever it takes. I ain't out for the dough, let's get it straight. Now you wanna be bold, let the truth be told. Most of us don't know, we were sold like black gold. Niggas don't care, you rather get blowed. I ain't staying silent like tiptoes, I'm up early like the crow.
Pain and discipline, souls together in game rather than shattering stain. Heal the talented main, banish the damaged and lane. Ravish the bastards that claim, repping his thing. See what more balls and jock straps, more balls and crotch straps, more balls and spalling, more balls and rolling. Got more balls and all of them here. Back to New Orleans, rap stingers that linger that represent like symbols and flags and middle fingers.
We don't linger, make it happen with the Nina. I'm a head turner like Tina. Looking for wisdom, have you seen her? SOJ, we leading the race. Keep up the pace, now follow the leaders, come on. We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel. We too wise to be dumb. The hell with ice, we want the kingdom. Let's get out these sons and tell them where we from. Israel. You heard this, tuck tail, the fail, your rhymes is frail. You stepped in the zone when we excel.
All praise, honor, glory to the Most High, white hope shine. My IQAhmath first name, IQ is all the same. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Salute to everybody's in the house, man. Who's in the house, man? The house of Bayan called shalom to you. Hashemah shalom to you, sis. Kohab shalom to you. Ashar shalom to you. Brother Jason shalom to you. Is that Cuzzo? That's you, Cuzzo, man. Tap in with me, bro. Deborah, shalom to you, my sister. And anybody and everybody else that's pending and waiting to come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The water's warm. The water's warm. Been cooking up, ready to go. Prayerfully, everybody's well, ready for the Shabbat to kick in. If it hasn't already for you, depending on your time zone where you're at, Shabbat shalom to you. Yeah, we observe Friday to Saturday as our Sabbath. It is what it is. But respectfully to anybody else, as long as you're keeping the Sabbath at this point, and the timing that we're in right now is very important, that we lock in and keep these commandments. All right, let's jump in with a few scriptures. As you can see, the title of the class is Iran, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, turns down the peace deal that was being offered, the nuclear arms deal that was being offered. They turned down any negotiations regarding the ceasefire, and they said, we want all the smoke. And they said, quote, we're just getting started. Just getting started. Okay. And that's trouble for all that's involved. That's trouble as far as the nations are concerned, America is concerned. But it's great for us, because what's that mean for us? That means that our time is coming. The deliverance of the children of Israel, the sealing of the elect, the job and the work that the prophets and the men of the Lord are doing, going out there teaching the sheep and waking up and teaching the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and teaching our brothers and sisters to repent, and sisters that's out there that is maintaining themselves in the faith and being examples to the flock. You know, the work is paying off. All praise to the Most High, right? Let's open up with Mark 13:33. That says, take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. This is a scripture I was just talking about with my rib earlier. You know, we've been advised that we are to watch, and not only to watch and observe and understand what we're seeing, but what we're going to see, we're going to need to incorporate prayer with that, because we're seeing all hell breaking loose, you know, between the protests, between the fire bombings and everything that's happening over here on these shores, with the corruption, with the economic collapse, with the famines, with the biological warfare that's being set out on us through the food and the water and the air and everything else, right? Not only do we have those issues that we got to be concerned with, but at the same time, we're looking at the world events where there is third world countries. You know, the majority of this earth is damn near third world countries, man, surviving in famine type situation. You got like 25 million starving over there in the Sudan and other places, the Middle East, India, so forth and so on. Plenty of countries that's out there dealing with famine, right? Wars, rumors of wars. I don't need to say no more. You already know what time it is, right? So the things that we watch, the things that we observe, the Lord said, you have to incorporate prayer in this, because that's the only thing that's going to get us delivered out of here. Outside of fearing the Most High and keeping the commandments, which was the objective and what's been commanded of all of us to do, right? Incorporating and utilizing the power of prayer, our communication with the Most High, those are the things that we have to incorporate, because what we're seeing and witnessing right now, ain't amount of money negotiating, there ain't no voting, none of the above that's going to get any of us out of this situation or the world in that manner without those things being done. Take ye heed, or watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. So we don't know. I'm not here to tell you, hey, you know what? Everything's going to collapse tomorrow. It's over with. You better get right. We don't know the time, but what we do know is that we see the sands of the hourglass ticking. And speaking of that, let's go to that scripture in Second Ezra. You see the sands of the hourglass ticking, right? So measure the time diligently. So that means you can't sleep on things. You can't sit back and just say, you know what, yeah, I hear about that. I understand that. Or maybe, I don't know. Or, you know, I'm taking this time off. That's a plague too that happens within the Israelite community too, man. When times get rough, man, you know, brothers be like, I need a break. I'm going to fall back for a little bit. I need to recollect. No. There's an amount of diligence and dedication that has to happen with this thing. If you're going to maintain your crown, you got to work for it. I got to work for it. Observation and measuring is what we've been told to do. 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently. So we have to pay attention to the times that we're in diligently and pay attention to what's going on. Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass. So he said part of the time, because remember, even Christ said, you're going to hear about wars, rumors of wars, famine, plagues, kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. He said, but the end is not yet. So part of these things we're seeing come to pass, right? We see part of things come to pass, which I have told thee before. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we're seeing the Spirit of the Lord visiting the earth right now. Everything is in our world, from the animals to the earth. You know, they just had an earthquake in Peru, I believe it was last week, another one. Another big earthquake in Peru. You've got volcanoes underwater erupting, volcanoes in Italy erupting. I mean, the earth is upset at this point, man. Tornadoes in Detroit. They're talking about this summer's hurricane season. Yeah, because in the tropics, this is when the hurricanes start hitting. Actually, a little bit later towards the end of the summer. They're talking about this hurricane season is coming through. They're like, FEMA is not ready, and neither is America in various other places. So everything is upset at this point, man. The nations are acting more wicked, more vile. They're at each other's throats. Fangs is out, claws is out. You understand what I'm saying? So now we're seeing that the Spirit of the Lord is stirring up within the earth, man. This ain't the time to be sitting back, happy days are here again. No. These are times that you buckle in, you pay attention, you watch, and you pray for the wisdom and the knowledge to keep you stable during these times. Verse 2 again, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee. So these are prophetic things that we're witnessing, that we're understanding. He said that the Most High spake of these things from the days before thee, even from the beginning, right? Let me get another one, Sirach 39. And this is how it's going to be revealed to each and every one of us. Sirach 39:1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof, right? So, you know, we read Joshua 1:8, Joshua 1:18, you know, in regards to this book of the law. We're supposed to keep in our minds and in our, you know, in our mouths. Then we'll have good success. Then, you know, paraphrasing that version, Joshua 1:8. Maintaining ourselves and keeping our minds locked in on the laws of the Most High, the moral, the civil, the dietary, the ceremonial, you know, the sacrificial elements of the law. These things we have to always keep in mind. That has to be our modus operandi, right? Our MO. As a man or woman that claims to be a Israelite, a woman or a man of the Lord, your mind has to be on the law of the Most High and be occupied in those things. Man, you got to work through those things, the stumbling blocks, the errors, the problems that you got, you know, and disciplines and particular things within the law. You got to be occupied, and your mind's got to be like, I got to do better. I got to, you know, I stumbled here. I didn't get that one right. Oh, I had a hard time dying to this element of the law, but now I got it. You know, sometimes it's like that, man. Sisters come into the truth, and you got a strong stumbling block about, you know, changing your dress code and getting out of those pants. It's like, I just so comfortable. I don't like wearing skirt. Guess what? Occupy your mind in the meditation there. You got to work through those stumbling blocks. Brothers, man, my wife used to love my smooth face, and you know, this beard, she says it's itchy. She don't like it. I don't like. Work through it, man. From the dietary laws to you know, I was a womanizer. I was out there to play. I want to get all the one. Work through it, whatever it may be, man. I used to hustle and scam on my people. Can't do that no more. Work through it. That's the only way you know how to survive, was a hustle and scheme and scam and, you know, finesse your people. And you can't do that in this truth. That's why it's so interesting, man. Anybody can be against us keeping the laws of the Most High. The Most High's laws keep order and judgment in our nation. Things that are far gone from our community right now. Far gone from it. But here you are, you know, these Christian apologists and, the men of the world and doctrines of religion and this, that, and the third, saying you can't keep the law. The law is irrelevant. You're going to be saved without the law just through the faith of Christ. He already paid the debt. And I mean, what is your problem with somebody even saying, well, guess what, man? I'm going to keep these laws, man, because I don't desire to be a homosexual. So I'm going to make sure I keep that law. You know what? I've been reading about and studying and understanding the unhealthy elements of pork. I'm not eating that anymore. The shellfish and the parasites and everything that come. I'm not eating those things. Why would you be against that? If your brother says, man, I think that is horrendous, man, and heinous, man, for a brother to sleep with another brother's wife, man. I'm not doing that. What? I get a day of rest? I don't have to go out, buy, sell. I don't have to work. Yeah, I want to do that, man. Let me keep this Sabbath and keep it holy. Why would you be against that? How is that harming anybody outside of building and bettering yourself? You got to be really wicked, man, to say you don't want a particular structure and order or a manual of life to help direct you, make you better. Something else nefarious is going on behind that, man. You dig what I'm saying? But let's read verse 1 again. But he that is occupied, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients. So you got to go dig. You got to look up. You got to follow after the prophecies. You got to look at the prophets of old. Get the wisdom of the ancients. And what? Be occupied in prophecy. So what we're looking at, what we're examining, what we're understanding, what's unfolding right before our eyes is prophecy in real time. Real time, right? So before we get to the war information, let me drop this on y'all, man. If you did not know, if you didn't know, there was a massive data leak that affected multiple people, right? Act fast. Apple, Facebook, and Google users are told to change their passwords. Now, it's 16 billion accounts affected by a colossal data leak. Instagram was affected. Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Roblox, Discord, Telegram, GitHub. All these have been affected. And you know what's interesting and why I bring this out and bring it to brothers and sisters' attention is I had gotten a couple of messages. One from a brother, I ain't got a message from him in years. Another one from a brother I never got a message from at all. And this was through Facebook Messenger. And both of them had some spam looking Cash App thing that they were trying to bait, somebody into getting cash, utilizing the Cash App, right? So I knew it was a scam, and I knew brothers, their accounts got hacked. So I already seen it being effective on people that I, was associated with or know, through real life or through Facebook, right? So when I seen this, all of y'all that, if you don't know, if somebody hitting you up saying, hey, your account's been compromised, did you send this to me? Know that you probably were affected by this. All right. So you're going to have to go ahead and make sure you check your password, whatever the case may be, because it did affect a lot of people. And just looking out for y'all, right? Now, there's something else I want to play. Okay. In regards to this war, there's a compilation. Some of y'all may have seen this. Some of y'all might not have seen it, right? But there's a compilation of this guy right here. You know, this is Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu. And since 1992 before, he's been talking about how Iran or Iran, I'm going to try to get that. I'm going to probably say it. I'll be respectful. Iran has been harboring and looking to make a nuclear weapon all the time. Every 3-4 years, he pops out and he says the same thing. They've got nukes. They're going to use it. They got nukes. They're going to use it. You better be warned. We got to bomb them. We got to get them. The same rhetoric, the same things that's gotten us, or not us, that's initiated this war that's going on right now. He's been trying to stir up this pot for a long time. Look at this. Iran has been a few months away from making a nuclear bomb for the past 153 months. That's the question. Why is that interesting? Because you see the fork-tongued nature of this man. When you talk about the essence of a You know what? When you look at the Revelation 2:9, and let's just watch. I'm gonna just let him speak, right? And this would be even more telling. Revelation 2:9, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. This is one of the staple scriptures. You know, early I'll be coming to the truth, man. Brothers hit you with that, and you're like, whoa, that's cold. So there is a people out there that's claiming to be Jew, but they're not. And they are working for the adversary out of their synagogues, right? I know that works tribulation and poverty. Well, who's doing the works, the tribulation? Who's going through the poverty, the oppressions, and things of that nature? Certainly not them. When, you know, without going into depth, y'all know everything that they control, everything that they manipulate, everything that they've got a hold on, the influence throughout the world. That ain't tribulation. That ain't poverty, right? Listen to this guy, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Very clear in forming an international coalition with Israel, of course. We have to make sure that these single-man regimes do not acquire weapons of mass destruction.
The most dangerous of these regimes is Iran. I believe that only the United States can lead this vital international effort to stop the nuclearization of terrorist states.
So he's been begging the U.S. to get involved, begging to say the only people that can stop it is the U.S. Well, the scriptures say that, of course, Babylon the Great, modern day America, modern day Egypt, modern day Sodom, they will be a big player when it's all said and done, right? But he's trying to bait. He's been, look, 4 years, 92, 96. He's consistent. I'll give him that. Of trying to put this narrative out there.
But the deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. Time is running out.
By next spring, at most, by next summer, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
This is 2012, so they should have bombs galore over there. You remember 9/11? Did we be reminded of that? When who was it? Baby Bush, yeah, George Bush Jr. said that there was weapons of mass destruction over there in Afghanistan. We need to go bomb them and tear up that whole landmass and seize the resources because they want to end the American way of life. Remember that? And it all turned out to be a lie. Well, he's pushing and propagating a whole other thing. He said, man, within 6 months, this is a done deal. They got him. I mean, and if you hear the rhetoric that these are towelhead madmen over there that's, you know, ready to bomb every pepper-nosed person out there, and America right along with it, man. They ready to take the head off the snake. You would have think bombs would have been flying, right? If they was really on it like that. According to him, they already got them.
From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. Iran could produce the nuclear detonator maybe under a year, maybe only a few months.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
Does it sound familiar? Yeah, he said 13 years before that. I guess he figured, you know, the internet is undefeated, man. That obviously, whoever put this compilation together, the recount, if this is their content, I don't know. But clearly, he figured 13 years ago, they don't remember me saying the same thing. I mean, let me repeat it, and maybe it'll sound fresh now in 2025.
Less than a year.
This is a bomb. This is a fuse. Iran is now trying to develop nuclear bombs. I think the United States should be very clear in forming an international coalition with Israel, of course. We have to make sure that these single-man regimes do not acquire weapons of mass destruction.
The most dangerous of these.
Well, we've seen that, right? Okay. So clearly, he's been pushing a particular stick of propaganda, man, that has turned up the heat on him. And now you look at this. Let's read the book of Job, chapter 5. And let's look at how the power of the Most High works. We're going to read 12 and 13. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So what Netanyahu has initiated is the spark for World War III. You know, they already got it riding with Gaza, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. You know, they already stirred up the pot with all of that. They got that thing cracking. But the big fish was Iran. And if you remember that video, let me see if I can find that one because I forgot to put that on here. But if you remember, I played a video a while back with what's the cat's name? General what's that dude's name? General let me see if I can find it that way. Wesley Clark, that was him. Let me see if he says it on here.
I got called in by an officer on the Joint Staff who told me that he said, you know, we're going to invade Iraq. I said, but why? And he said, I don't know. He said, I guess.
So if y'all remember this, there was another interview where he brought up the same information, but it's relevant though, right? Because this was the destabilization of the Middle East, and this was already pre-planned. America said that they were going to go do it. This is how we're seeing the elements of the Middle East, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, all those things getting stirred up. Joel chapter 3, where the Lord said that all the nations got to gear up. You know, Revelation 16, where it says that the Euphrates is going to dry up so the kings of the east can march forward and get ready for war. We see that the Euphrates is damn near dry now. Now we're hearing straight out the devil's mouth, man. He's getting ready to say that America pre-planned the destabilization of all of these particular nations, but listen to all of these nations and figure out whether or not they accomplished that goal.
Because we don't know what else to do. But in fact, the why of it went back a decade to the spring of 1991. It went back to the argument inside the Republican Party about whether or not the Gulf War should have ended with the capture of Baghdad and the overthrow of Saddam Hussein. And in 1991, when I talked to Secretary Wolfowitz, you know, he said, we didn't get rid of Saddam Hussein, and we should have. He said, we've only got 5 or 10 years to clean up the Middle East. These whole Soviet surrogate regimes like Syria and Iraq, get rid of them.
Oh, Syria and Iraq, right? So they've already got rid of Saddam Hussein. Destabilize Iraq, that's over with. Syria, they just got rid of Bashar al-Assad last year, and then they put in that former ISIS, so-called former ISIS terrorist as the new leader, and now Syria is completely destroyed and overran, and they're going wild against each other over there, and they've got, you know, they instituted their new puppet over there. So far, they're batting 2 for 2. And they said they got to go clean up the Middle East. So we see why the activity over there in the Middle East is so active right now, because that's where the Lord said that much of the wars and rumors of wars and the end time prophecies of warfare and judgment in the Valley of Jehoshaphat is going to take place over there. So this is why you see the flames and everything being stirred up over there. Okay.
Before the next superpower comes along to challenge us. We didn't foresee that we'd actually be using force aggressively to change regimes. And it appeared full-blown after 9/11. And somehow, in the minds of the American people, the attack run by Osama bin Laden, based out of Afghanistan, became part of Saddam Hussein. And to retaliate and make sure that, and it was phrased in many different ways. There was effort in the intelligence community to prove that Saddam Hussein had somehow been connected to the strikes in New York and against the Pentagon. And then there was the idea that, well, but he might have some weapons of mass destruction, biological, chemical, nuclear weapons that he could give to terrorists despite the fact that Saddam Hussein and Al-Qaeda couldn't have been further apart in terms of working together as allies.
So you see what they did. They used the 9/11 distraction and the Afghanistan invasion as an excuse to go and include Iraq, because that was at the top of their list to destabilize first. That's why he's saying Afghanistan, Iraq, these two different countries, they have nothing to do with it. Neither one of them were cooperating together to make this happen. They ended up publicly lynching and taking down Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. They said they ran up in his cave, shot him, even though back in the 80s, under the Mujahideen, he used to work for America and the CIA and got trained to fight a Cold War with the Soviets, against the Soviets, I should say, on behalf of America. I mean, these guys all got connections. I showed you the article before where George Bush had dinner at the Pentagon with one of Al-Qaeda leaders 2 days after 9/11. They sat back and cheered and ate steaks together after, accomplishing their goal. This ain't the exact video that I wanted, but you can see the point. There's another one that we said he talks about all of them. Let me see. Is this the one? Okay, here we go.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who had used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September.
Now, notice they initiate the war. He said, "We've made the decision. They're going to invade Iraq." I just saw, I don't know who this guy was. He was a general of the Israeli army and a spokesperson. And after, Iran bombed that hospital a couple of days ago, they said, well, look what they're doing. They're bombing and killing innocent people and civilians in the hospital. We're hitting military targets. We're playing fair. When you can't say the same thing in Gaza, you're not playing fair. You haven't been playing fair in Iran because you definitely hit some civilians as well with some of these strikes. And at the same time, there would have been no bombing of a hospital if they didn't start bombing first. We wouldn't even be talking about this if the small hat army didn't bomb first, would we? And now here you hear America, they're saying, we've made the decision, we're going to spark things up. The evil empire, man, speaks, let me let him finish.
I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't."
Because they can. What does the scripture say about Esau, man? Genesis 27:41, he's going to live by the sword. By means of warfare, destruction, death. This is how he's going to establish control. Job 9:24, how does a wicked control the earth? The earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. He's doing it by military might, strength, and deception, and so-called democracy that he instills unjust covenants. That's why he's trying to force Iran to sign this nuclear arms deal. And they're like, this ain't fair. You're accusing us of doing the exact same thing that the Israelis are doing. You're saying that we can't have access to uranium and, upgrade our levels of power and energy and everything else because it can be used to make a nuclear weapon. You're saying we're going to get wicked with it and make bombs and actually threaten and use them. Well, that's what the small hats are doing. We haven't done anything. And they're like, yeah, so you can't have them now. Now, let's continue.
They don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information, connect?
They don't have nothing else to do but go out and seek for more blood. Covered the scripture last week about how Esau loves the blood, man. The wicked. I think it's in Psalm 77, I think. Let me see if that's the one. I think that's in Psalms. Was it 77? No, that wasn't it. Psalm maybe 136. No, I can't remember. But let me think. I can't remember. But that's okay. But if y'all remember last week, I brought up the scripture about the wicked and how much they was that? No, that's okay. But I mean, we should know by now. I mean, the so-called white man has a insatiable lust for blood. You know, death, destruction, biological warfare, man, bloodletting, sacrifices. I mean, he does it all. And now they said, well, why are we going to go invade? He said, well, we ain't got nothing else to do. That sounds reasonable, right?
Connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda, he said, no. He says there's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan.
Well, Iraq, check. Syria, check. Lebanon is pretty much destroyed. I mean, you know, they're non-factors at this point. Libya, they took out Gaddafi. You remember that witch Hillary Clinton said, we came, we saw, he died, as they laughed. Hey, and yeah, Bayan, you said Bush laughed about 9/11. He absolutely did. This is how they play, man. Colonizing, destruction, killing men, women, children, doesn't matter, destroying whole lands, robbery and thievery of resources, and they laugh. They say, why we do it? Hey, we ain't got nothing better to do. Why not? Somalia, that's over with. Sudan, they're already dealing with it. I mentioned that earlier. Let's see. Sudan, 25 million. Oh, using starvation as a weapon of war in Sudan must stop. Over 25 million civilians in Sudan are in fleeing Sudan are being starved and require urgent humanitarian assistance. So Sudan, okay, that's pretty much a wrap. They're on point, but who's last?
Sudan and finishing off Iran.
Finishing off with Iran. I'm going to stop there. Finishing off with Iran. Okay. So you see, Netanyahu, he's propagating for the war. America's already instigated and said we're all on board, despite what Agent Orange is talking about. Oh no, don't worry about it. No, I'm going to decide whether or not I'm a president of peace. Far from it. We ain't seen no peace out of this guy, man. He's initiated wars domestically and internationally. Okay. Let me close that out. So these are the things we're seeing play out right now, right? Let me get another scripture in Psalms 9. Oops, lucky. Psalm 9 and 15 says, the heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. So they're going to be buried by their own wicked inventions, their own wicked, desires of pride and arrogancy, and the desire to control the earth, and the desire to lie and deceive and destroy and blood. The Lord said, man, they're going to get sunk down in that same pit that they made. As much as not a Jew is out there talking about Iran's got nuclear weapon, they can make it in a month, a week. It could be a year. It could be. They're going to do it. They're going to use it. We got to bomb them. We got to take them out. America, help. You're the only ones that can do it. We'll start it off, but we need you to play back cleanup. The Lord said they're going to get sunk in this own pit that they're making. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. So they're going to trip and stumble over their own little lies and, conspiracies that they're drumming up. This is how the Lord is going to take them in his own craftiness. Remember, even in Psalm 64, it says that he's going to cause their own tongues to fall upon themselves. So they're going to tell on themselves. They're going to entrap themselves. With all of these slick little games that they're playing, man, that's why I said the internet is undefeated. Who would have known somebody was holding on to these recordings from 1992 and said, oh, 2025, I'm going to upload a compilation and show how this guy has been plotting and planning this for the longest and looking to bait the world into a war. But hey, you know what? All praise to the Most High, because everything goes according to the Lord's plan. And that's what it has to go down by. Okay. Now it says the heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. So all of this stuff that they're out here plotting and planning and doing to try to destroy or control the earth and try to, withdraw back from, the Lord's people getting back his righteous inheritance, and the Lord's will make them fight each other, man. They're going to take each other out. Okay. And that's all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Nahum chapter 3, verse 1, it says, woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. See, this is the works of America. This is the works of, all of our enemies, in particular, Babylon here. Woe to the bloody city. It's full of lies and robbery. Well, how did they get this land? They lied, they stole, they established so-called peace treaties and what do you call it? The Homestead Acts, where they, did sharecropping and stole land and didn't allocate land to free slaves, and, never gave us an opportunity to be able to prosper here, set up a whole system of oppression. We see our people out here running around in the streets, running from ICE, running from masked men with unmarked cars, even though they're legal. All of these things, man, lies, a robbery, the prey departeth not. The noise of a whip. Oh, we've heard that one before, right? You heard that? What's your name? What's your name? Kunta. No, what's your name? Toby. Wow. Remember that? And the noise of rattling of wheels. This is a place where a lot of activity is going to be happening, from industry to warfare, the creation of these rattling wheels. These are weapons of destruction. Remember, even last week in Trump's post that he made, when he was talking about America's got the greatest army, the greatest weapons, this, that, and the third, and nobody's better than us, and Israel's got a lot of them, and they know how to use them. The noise of rattling wheels. This is where a lot of activity is going to be taking place. It says, and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. So this is where a lot of these things are going to be taking place. Okay. Now, let's look at a few more of these articles, man, and let's get to it. Now, remember, not a Jew says that, hey, Iran's got access to uranium, and it's only a matter of weeks. We don't know when, but we got to get them before they get us. Well, Tulsi Gabbard, she's I believe she's not the defense secretary, but what is her position? I don't want to misquote Let's say what her position is. But Tulsi Gabbard, what is her position in the White House? Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. That's her position. She's a politician, military officer, and she's the National Intelligence Director. Okay. Now, based upon her intel, what does she say about Iran and the possible of nuclear weapons with them?
Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader...
Whoa, hold on, Tulsi. Say that one more time. You've got the intelligence. You've been entrusted with gathering intelligence, getting this information, relaying it to your superiors, and what did you say that you found?
Is not building a nuclear weapon,
That
and Supreme U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
So he suspended the nuclear program in 2003, and he has not gone against that. But if you leave it to Benjamin Netanyahu, he says no. They definitely got it. They're definitely going to do it. Meanwhile, they're the ones stockpiling up nukes. They're the ones raining hell on people in Gaza and Palestine, and Hezbollah. They initiated the bombings in Iran. They got Trump on board. Trump said, "Hey man, sign this nuclear arms treaty, or the nuclear energy treaty, whatever that thing was." He said, "Look, I'll give you 60 days. If not, we bombing on you." True to that, he did it. Even though they had the intelligence that said, no, they don't have no nukes. They're not going to do it. And we have no reason to believe it's happening. Somebody's lying.
The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile.
He's looking all confused.
Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public.
It's taboo about Iran speaking about nuclear arms in public,
likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons.
For a state without nuclear weapons, come on. But you leave it to American media, leave it to American government, the small hat governments, you leave it for the manipulation. They'll tell you that, oh no, they got it. They're about to rain hell on us. All right. So y'all see the game that's being played. You see what's happening. Look at this. Opponents say Netanyahu decision to arm clans in Gaza to help fight Hamas will come back to haunt Israel. This is another thing that this dude is doing. He's got some, in our terms, some Uncle Toms within the Arab community, which are acting as just like ISIS to help fight against their own people over there in Gaza. So he can wash his hands and say, oh, it's not me, it's my armed hyenas I got over there going crazy. So 1 minute he's lying and telling everybody, oh, Iran's got access to uranium. They're going to make a bomb. They're going to use it. Hurry up. This is a 92. 92. Now we're talking, what, 33 years later? 23 years later almost? Oh, that's got to be longer than that. 33. 92. 2002. 2012. 2022. Yeah, 33 years. 33 years later. Nothing's happened. And they just said, well, you know what? Forget it. They ain't buying a lie. Let's bomb them. Now, opponents say Netanyahu decision to arm clans in Gaza to help fight Hamas will come back to haunt Israel. Former Israeli defense minister and opposition lawmaker Avigdor Lieberman on Thursday accused Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of authorizing weapons transfers to a criminal gang in Gaza that he likened to the ISIS terrorist group. Now, wait a minute. If they're supposed to be anti-ISIS terrorists, Muslim extremists, why is he giving them weapons and authorizing this criminal gang to go and raise hell against their own people there in Gaza? Think about that. Marinate on that for a hot second, right? He stepped back and said, well, I'm fighting the same people that I'm employing. The same people I'm employing and I'm saying is the problem are the same people I'm using to stir up the pot. Does that make sense? I can't tell. Continuing. It says Netanyahu appeared later in the day to confirm the operation, so it wasn't a lie. Confirm that this is what he was doing. Okay. Now, continuing on, it says he appeared to later in the day confirm the operation, suggesting it would save the lives of Israeli forces battling Hamas in the Palestinian territory. They are receiving weapons from the state of Israel. It's a total madness. Lieberman said in a radio interview, it's unclear to me who approved it. Oh, well, you know who approved it. See, this is the games that they're out here playing. But what does the Lord say about an individual that operates like that? Job 27, let's read verse 8. It says, for what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he have gained, when his power taketh away his soul? You know, when you hear that old saying, you know, what happens if a man gains the whole world but loses his soul? You know, essentially selling his soul. That's the operations of a hypocrite. The Lord just got through saying that the hope of a hypocrite, because this is exactly what he's operating as. You're saying that we're fighting against ISIS, we're fighting against the terrorists, we're fighting against the souls of our people, and we want to. Meanwhile, you've sold out your people by employing and arming your so-called enemies to help them fight against Hamas. And then what happens when they turn on? See, that's what ends up happening. Okay. Now, that's the evil and the wickedness that he's up to. Let's continue on. We see here that there is no surrender. I believe Agent Orange gave him a little ultimatum. Let me see if I got it. No, I got a. No, that's not it. Let me close that one and that one. Close that instantly. Yeah, let's continue reading here. All right, so as you can see, this is where the title of today's topic came up with, that Iran is turning down and not going to be making any particular ceasefire deals, and they're not taking too kindly to the threats that Trump has been putting out there. The U.S. president threatens us with his absurd rhetoric. He demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. They should make threats against those who are afraid of being threatened. The Iranian nation isn't afraid by such threats. There's another article says they won't surrender. Iran warns U.S. of irreparable damage if it intervenes. So they're letting it be known. Number one, we're not surrendering. We're not bowing down. We're not kissing the ring. Number two, if you get involved, Irreparable damage will happen. They've already made threats about bombing, U.S. bases and so forth and so on, right? But the problem is that America's already involved. They're already involved. Let's look at
Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left.
So this is what he's acknowledging, because there's been the word out there, some of these assassination attempts on Trump, it came from Iran. They've been looking for any excuse to get this thing cracking over there in the Middle East, which again, remember, the Most High says that he's the one that establishes the taking down of kings and the setting up of kings, the destruction of kingdoms or whatnot. This is the Most High playing chess. You ain't see near Iranian get arrested. There's no document, nothing that connected that kid that supposedly got over there at what was it, dang a year ago in July, when Trump caught that little stray to the ear, and they killed the kid on the roof. And then there was another guy that popped out and by his golf course and got caught with some weapons or something. And next thing you know, they all flipping and say, he got sent by Iran, and we've got intelligence that Iran is the one sending these these white hitmen, which makes no sense, because the same thing that he was accused of Slow Biden of saying, Russian collusion, he got involved with the elections, he's working with the Russians, and they had no proof. They had lies and stuff on laptop. They're using the same tactics to say, Iran is the boogeyman, and this is what we got to do. Esau thinks he's slick. This is why we know that when you talk about America and the eagle, it's two wings on the same bird. They sell you on we're different than the other side. Meanwhile, the system is the same. They operate within the confines of an oppressive system, an elitist system, a system based upon lies and false realities and doctrines and laws, unjust laws. And that's what they operate on. But they sell you on, my way is going to be different how I implement it. My way is going to be different how I operate the system. Meanwhile, they all do the same thing. So Trump says, hey, if I get assassinated, or if there's anything happens to me, I've already written in the will to obliterate Iran.
That would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence.
He loves throwing Slow Biden under the bus. And every minute he gets a chance, he's throwing up Slow Biden. But this is how deep it can go, though, because far be it from them, for the greater quote unquote good. It could be an inside job. Somebody poisoned his food, his drink. He loves McDonald's, and somebody slides something in there, man. Take him out, and they say, it was an Iranian plot. Assassinated the president, poisoned him. Now we got the green light to go ahead with what General Wesley Clark was saying, that this is already before he was president, before any of this went down, America's already had it in their minds. They have a goal to destabilize and control the Middle East. That's what's going to bring the major conflict of World War III, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, so forth and so on, there, because the desires and the thirst that America exhibits, wanting to control and wanting to dominate and wanting to have what's not his, is going to cause everything to blow up.
Perhaps.
This is a national security presidential memorandum that seeks to impose maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Many of these provisions are similar to actions that your administration took during your first administration. The basic idea here is to have every department and agency, or many departments and agencies in your government attempt to.
Why are they explaining this to him as if he doesn't know what it is? Maybe he doesn't. He's just another puppet. They're telling him, this is what's in here, just sign it.
Sanction and control Iranian activities, particularly relating to the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian export of terrorism through support of various proxy groups abroad. And the intent here is to give you all of the possible tools to, I'd say, engage with the Iranian government to ensure that going forward they are less of a malign actor on the world stage.
So the goal is take out Iran and you know, to cut it short. And he's getting ready to sign it to acknowledge and say, hey, if anything happens, if all else fails, light them up and we're going to war. All right, let's move on. We got here's another video.
But I do think over time, we have the capability to render that particular site ineffective.
Now, this is even more wild and prophetic, because notice what the name of this video, what Fox labeled us as. It says, Iran will have to drink from the poison chalice. The poison chalice, huh? We're going to get that out of the scriptures in a minute.
It's obviously underneath a mountain, and I think the engineers are contributing to, how you do that, but it likely has to collapse down on itself.
Now, this is interesting because they're talking about a key Iranian nuclear site. They're saying it's deep underneath these mountains, and the only people or the only nation that's in opposition to them right now that has a capability of blowing up that mountain or doing something to destroy it is America. And they're saying, well, we need to get America involved so we can use these bunker busting bombs to dig down into these mountains and destroy these key Iranian nuclear sites. So that's a whole nother thing, because the scriptures talk about, the bunker culture of the elites and kings is going to be trying to hide in bunkers, and the destruction is still going to hit them. And we'll get that in a minute too, in Isaiah 2 and in Revelation 6.
So I think it's achievable, but it's a formidable target.
That's General Jack Keane with us last hour, talking about the challenge posed by Iran's Fordo nuclear plant, which so far has not been touched in this war, we believe, based on the reporting there. It's believed to be located about 300 feet beneath a mountain. It could potentially be taken out by an American bomb known as process. Before you start blowing up mountains in Iran, take us through the thought process on behalf of the Israelis / United States on this first, and then we'll get to the Iranian question.
Yeah, Bill, I can tell you from my decades-long career at CIA, we don't do policy at the CIA. We recruit spies and steal secrets, but I was a backbencher many times during policy deliberations of this sort. And what I expect the president will be hearing from his advisors are, what are the options to get to the end state that we want? And remember why the Trump administration withdrew from the JCPOA in the first Trump administration. It was because of the nuclear program, the sunset clauses, because JCPOA did not deal with Iran's ballistic missile program, as well as Iran's proxy terrorist network. And so right now we've got a better opportunity than we've ever had before to deal with those three challenges for our national security. It doesn't mean we have to blow up Fordo, but it does mean that Iran is going to have to, in the words of their supreme leader, drink from the poison chalice. And
so in order to deal with America, what do they got to do? Hold on.
Fordo, but it does mean that Iran is going to have to, in the words of their terrorist network. And so right now we've got a better opportunity than we've ever had before to deal with those three challenges for our national security. It doesn't mean we have to blow up Fordo, but it does mean that Iran is going to have to, in the words of their supreme leader, drink from the poison chalice and agree to a serious round of negotiations where we get to the end state that we want.
So it said the only way that they're going to be able to negotiate is to drink from the poison chalice. Who holds that chalice, man? Who's got this poison? Who's dishing out poison to everybody? Well, let's look at Revelation 14 first, verse 8. And it says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That wrath of her fornication, that's that poison chalice that Babylon is offering up. Because remember, it said that the Iranians are saying the only way that the only way they can negotiate and deal with America is they're going to have to drink from the poison chalice. Well, that's what the scripture just said. Babylon is going to make these nations drink the wine of the wrath of fornication, right? That's prophetic. And that lets us know that the judgments that is happening, because what preceded that, Babylon is going to fall. For what reason? Because they're making these nations drink. They're making the nations partake in laying in bed with this mother of harlots, man, sacrificing all of their morals, wanting to establish negotiations of business. Remember, I tell you, all the merchants of the earth lived deliciously with her. They was all making the money, the trade deals. They was all doing well, and the land of milk and honey, the great melting pot. Everybody coming over here. Now it's starting to get a little sour taste, and now they're starting to taste this poisonous. Oh, your drink's been what do they call it? Roofied. Yeah, you left your drink alone, man, and then they slipped some poison in there, and now the nations are upset. This is why the nations is upset now. You know, even in we read in Revelation 17, and we read this before too, right? And verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the horse. So the 10 horns are a conglomerate of nations, signaling back to the EU and NATO, some Eastern European nations, Western European nations. They're all going to come up against America. They've had enough. So these are going to hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So when you hear Iran saying, hey, man, the only way they want to negotiate, man, they want us to bow down and drink from their poison chalice. And the scripture said that this is exactly what Babylon would do, is going to make all the nations drink from the wine of the wrath of her fornication, man. Bow down. Have a sip. Isaiah 25, and let's read it. We're going to read verse 1 down. It says, O Lord, thou art my power. I will exalt thee. I will praise thy name, for thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels of old are faithfulness and truth. So Isaiah is giving us a blueprint to really exalt and praise the Most High during these times. Because although they're trying times, there are times of affliction, there are times of questioning, confusion, there's all kinds of. The Lord said, but listen, when we're focused in on praising and giving him honor and glory, and we're operating in the realms of faith and truth, we'll be okay. Because the Lord has always done these particular things. Look at this, verse 2. For thou hast made of a city an heap, of a defense city a ruin, a palace of strangers to be no city, it shall never be built. So, you know, the scriptures tell us that our land is occupied by strangers in Isaiah, the 1st chapter and 7th verse. So them things are going to be knocked down. Of a defense city, a ruin. Keep that in mind, because I'm going to show you a video in a minute. Remember, they keep talking about that Iron Dome. They said the Iron Dome was failing. Remember, just like they did with the Ukraine war. The first 3-4 months, Ukraine is taking out the Russians by the hundreds, man. The Russians ain't got a chance. Look at the brave Ukrainians out there fighting against these big bad Russians and that. And meanwhile, I was showing y'all the article after article, video after video, confession after confession, like that. That's not what's happening. It was some wag the dog stuff going on, that they were trying to rally America and rally the world around America's desire to take out the Russians, using the Ukrainians to do it. And meanwhile, the Ukrainians ain't got it in them. And you see what ended up happening. All of a sudden, the script and flipped, and now they all talking about begging for help and more money and more weapons, and we're getting slaughtered over here. And then we need peace. Hey, somebody come to our defense. Hey, NATO, get in here with us. And America's like, oh, hands off. We can't touch that. We're not ready to go all out with Russia right now. That said, that was made a city in heap of a defense city a ruin. That golden dome, I mean, not the golden dome, the Iron Dome has been getting lit up. Y'all seen some of them videos? Matter of fact, they said that they're running out of missiles to defend. The whole myth of them being, Jerusalem being impenetrable because of their missile defense system. That thing is bogus as who knows what. Because we clearly are seeing video evidence of they getting struck, they getting hit up. The defense city is getting torn down, man. And now they even questioning, were we getting the legit information? I mean, we were hearing that the Israelis out there doing a great job and tearing Iran up, and they ain't got a chance. Iran better get out of there right now. They better surrender or else. And now all of a sudden, all you're seeing is, oh, the hospital got bombed. Oh, this city got bombed. Oh, the Israelis are getting hit up. Now the truth is coming out. Verse 3, therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. The city of the terrible nation shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, of refuge from the storm. See, that's how the Lord is going to look out for his people. Just think about, the Maccabees, man. Our people was fighting against all odds. Looked like we had no chance in hell. But the Lord rose to the occasion, man, raised up mighty men to defend and mighty women to take care of the children and to put up a strong front against the most powerfulest nation in the earth at that time, the Greeks, and have substantial victories over them. That's because the Lord is always our refuge. He's our strength. He said, in our refuge from the storm. So when all hell's going, caving in and storms is rumbling and brewing, the Lord said, man, I got you. Just hold tight. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat. When the blast of the terrible ones is as a storm against the wall, thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers, as the heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud, the branch of the terrible one shall be brought low. So all of these things, the terrible ones, Netanyahu's over there employing terrorists right now to wreak havoc over there in Gaza. He said that he's going to be brought low. All the corruption, all this stuff is going to be exposed, and the Lord is saying, look, you're going to see the real players in the game, man. You're going to really see what's going on. You're going to see how I'm going to work these works. Now it's time for the faithful, man. That's what the Most High said. Now it's time for the true believers to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Because when it's right in front of your face, man, you can't deny it. You see what's going on.
But I do think over
toys and childish, you can't make that up. They saying that's what it takes. And the Lord said, well, yeah, this is how Babylon's going to operate. The nation's going to feel as if they're drinking the poison chalice. He's going to get bit. Oh, so that's what Revelation 14 was talking about. There's a nation that's making the nations drink. Well, what nation is it? Oh, America. Who did the Bible describe it as? Babylon. That's how you put them all together. Look at this. Trump threatens to bomb Iran if no nuclear deal is reached with the U.S. Like, this is what you're talking about, massive bullying. If you don't sign this deal, whether it's fair or not, if you don't sign it, I'm going to bomb you. But was that his doing, or do we have to go back to General Wesley Clark and America's intentions all along? See, they're throwing stones, hiding their hands, but the Lord sees it. The world is going to see it. And as long as the Israelites have been prophesying and talking about how America's going to be destroyed, America's going to get judged, this, that, and the third, as much as we've talked about, oh, you guys are crazy, ain't nothing going to happen to great old America, the Statue of Liberty is going to stand forever, and this, that, and the nuclear what? You guys are crazy. There's nobody talking about no nukes. Yeah, well, we were talking about it 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and brothers that precede me talking about it way before then. It all sounded crazy. It all sounded like it was coming to naught. Now, you can't turn on a podcast, social media show, anything of relevant consciousness and world event that isn't talking like this is something biblical. And that's all glory to the Most High. We don't have to play this one because you know, the title says it.
Prakash Srivastava, former Indian ambassador to Iran, joins us on.
We'll move on just for time's sake, right? Now, remember when they were talking about, oh, is Israel doing this stuff? And I told y'all last week, and the title of DSM last week was Israel and the U.S. bomb. Now it's becoming more clear as they're getting caught in their words. Speaking of caught in their words, before I look at did y'all see this video? Tucker Carlson dealing with, they was going at it, man, but Tucker Carlson was cutting up Ted Cruz. Talking about the war and America's, Ted Cruz's involvement with this war, what his thoughts are. They had another clip with this guy. Wild stuff, man. Let me play this one and then I'll talk about the other one.
I don't know the population at all. How many people live? How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population at all. No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah. How could you not know that? I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
It doesn't matter. I paused it right on time with his face. It doesn't matter because remember, General Wesley Clark said, hey, we're going to bomb Iraq, Sudan, Libya, Somalia, Iran. He said, because we can. And we're looking to destabilize the Middle East. We got to get that thing under control. And we don't want them getting influenced by the Soviets. So it's better us than them. So Ted Cruz has no reason to have this information logged in. He just knows the objective is take out the towel heads over there. And what's Senator Ted Cruz's position in the White House? What's his position? Oops. This guy is a attorney serving as the junior United States Senator from Texas since 2013. He's an attorney, Senator of Texas. I thought Trump gave him a position, but it wasn't him. It was Marco Rubio. You know, the two Spaniards, man. I know he gave somebody a little position up in there. Rubio's the one. But Ted Cruz is out there representing the Republicans out there, you know, speaking big stuff, man. And why he backs the war. Tucker Carlson put him on the hot seat, man. And you hear what he got to say.
Yeah. How could you not know that? I don't sit around memorizing population tables. Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government. Why is it relevant whether it's, it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant? Because if you don't know anything about the country... I didn't say I don't know anything about the country. What's the ethnic mix of Iran? They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So actually, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran. You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country. No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani.
I love it. I love it because you know what? What does the scripture say? About a kingdom divided against itself can't stand. I mean, when you see flat out debates jumping off wild right in front of us. You saw the public displays going on between Trump and Elon. Now you see Tucker Carlson and Senator Cruz going at it. This only goes to show you how the Lord says, when you see these things, you know that this kingdom is on its downward spiral. This is why they're throwing out everything against the wall, hoping anything sticks when it comes down to maintaining a grasp on its control. Impoverish of people. Put them in, you know, mental and physical servitude, debt slaves, kick anybody out that ain't with the program, open up Alcatraz, we're locking people up, we're sending them to the Guantanamo, we're going all up, like we're lighting up world wars all over the place. Well, famine, pestilence. Look, we're getting the GMO Franken foods out on the plates for everybody. We're making the real food unaffordable for anybody to get, and we need everybody bowing down. All hands on deck, batten down the hatches, man. The ship's going down. And now you see them publicly going at each other, man. Ted Cruz is a joke. I didn't even play the other clip that they had of him saying the reason why he stands behind Israel bombing Iran in this war is because he grew up a Christian, and in Sunday school they taught him that Genesis 12, where it says the Lord's going to bless you, bless those that bless Abraham. He said to Israel, he was talking to Abraham. He said, the nation of many nations will make you, and I'm going to bless those that bless you. He translated that into Israel. Mind you, at the time, Israel wasn't even a nation, wasn't even born yet. He was speaking to Abraham. That's one. But number two, even in that clip, man, Tucker Carlson was like, are you serious? Like, do you mean, okay, I'll roll with that. Are you saying he's talking about the government? Is he talking about the people? Is he talking about the landmass? He was like, yeah, the people over there, that's Israel. We got to bless them. We got to help them because we want to be blessed. I'm like, this is why the Lord said, what did the heathen have to do to declare his statutes? Because they have no business reading our book at all. But he went on record trying to say that it was biblical, the reason why they support Israel, when it's far from it.
You
don't
said it was
believe
bad.
they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
we're
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
you said Israel was.
Right, with our help.
You see how he just cut him? He said, if you really felt like Iran was responsible for having assassination attempts on Trump, you would be bombing them right now. And he says, we are. And he said, wait a minute, you said Israel was doing this. Uh-oh. Caught him.
Calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
we're
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
you said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not
at all.
bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
Cut. Confound it. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous. Shalak, you're right. This is sad. And he's gonna hold on to the lie.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Caught him. Okay, well, let's continue. Look, we quote, this is what Agent Orange says. We now have total control of Iran's skies. Trump demands a quote unconditional surrender. Now it's we. I thought it was them. I thought it was we're not doing. Now they're openly saying it's we. So America is actively assisting in what is getting ready to be, if it continues, World War III. President Trump has very quickly followed up with even more bellicose and alarming statements directly threatening Iran, repeatedly using we as if the United States military is already directly involved in the ratcheting war. He said in the latest, we know exactly where the so-called quote supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out or kill him, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This guy is wild. So there you have it out the horse's mouth. Let's hear him again.
We're doing pretty well. Right now, we're doing pretty well.
We're doing pretty well. So is that an admission of guilt that they're actively working with Israel on this thing? We're doing pretty well.
Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often.
He said they don't want a ceasefire. So that's not even part of a negotiation anymore. So what do they want? They're not going to sign a ceasefire agreement. They're not even putting that on the table. So that means there's no pause to the war right now. What do they want?
But we're looking for better than a ceasefire. And then a real end, not a ceasefire.
And
we're pretty well. Right now we're doing pretty well. But he doesn't get it right too often. But we're looking for better than a ceasefire. And then a real end, not a ceasefire. And then
so something that would be permanent.
Yeah, or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you closer? Or is that possible? Is that possible in the next 24 hours?
It's certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible. Yeah.
Give up means let us have control of Iran. Regime change. Let us put our puppet, leader in there so that we can have full control over there. And you just seen earlier, the Iranians know it, and they like, look, that's not going down. So expect this thing to continue on. We're on day, 9 now, 10 now. This will continue. Here's that. Let's go back to that Isaiah 25. They never show this on mainstream media. Iran pounding Zionist Iron Dome. Where are you? As they laugh. You know what's so cool? Can you imagine sitting out at Venice Beach, Santa Monica at night? You're at the pier or whatever, and you see this flying down. You see this coming out of nowhere. You see this on your way home from work or whatever, wherever you may be. That's wild. That's a fearful thing, man. You see it and you hear the roar of those missiles dropping. I see everything hidden. Where is the defense city at? Where's the Iron Dome at again? I can't see it. I can't tell at all. So we see the defense cities getting destroyed. Now let's look at Revelation 6. Let's see how close we are. Let's read 6. We'll read down. We'll read this real quick. Revelation 6:6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So, this is a scripture speaking about the third seal being let loose. This is speaking about famine. This is about food shortages, inflation, all of the above, right? It says that a measure of wheat, which is a measure amount of wheat, which is basically like enough to make some bread, or, like a certain amount of wheat to create a meal for, that typically would last for a day or what have you. It says for a penny. So when you read, I believe it's in Matthew 25, it tells you that a penny is like a day's labor. Now, imagine working an entire day to get enough wheat just to bake some bread for the day. That's where the inflation, the dollar, the money, it doesn't stretch as far as it goes, and the shortages of the food is going to be happening. So it says, in 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So the precious things of value is not going to be utilized, right? Or going to be touched in those times. It says, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And look, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. This is important because now we're seeing death, hell being instituted in put out into the earth, right? And it says, power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. So if y'all remember, I pulled out a book called Allegory of the Continents. It was talking about the fourth part being America. This is the other fourth part. Let me show you a couple of quick references, right? Okay. Now this is from a book called the fourth part of the earth, I believe. And it says the earth is divided into three parts, one of which is called Asia, the second Europe, the third Africa. Apart from these three parts of the world, there exists a fourth part beyond the ocean, which is unknown to us. So even when you look at 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter and 41st verse on down, it tells you that the 10 tribes are going to travel to a land called Arshareth, where no man ever dwelt before. You understand what I'm saying? And there they was going to dwell after their captivity of leaving Assyria in the 7th century BC. So many of the early European scholars and cartographers and whatnot, they all knew about that there was another part of the earth that wasn't being inhabited. They knew about the first three parts, Europe, Africa, Asia, but they knew that there was a fourth part that existed as well. Let me show you this in the Allegory of the Continents. Now, mind you, it says that according to the scriptures, why is this important? Because we're talking about judgment that's going to be happening. Death and hell is going to follow this particular, is unleashing the spirit on the earth. And it says the power of death and hell is going to be given to this fourth part of the earth. This fourth part of the earth is going to be overwhelmed and taken over with death, destruction. Now, let's look at this real quick over here in this book, Allegory of the Continents. The four continents. In the 16th century, the world was divided into four continents: Africa, America, Asia, and Europe. That's the four. Each of the four continents was seen to represent its quadrant of the world: Europe in the north, Asia in the east, Africa in the south, and America in the west. The division fit the Renaissance sensibilities of the time, which also divided the world into four seasons, four classical elements, four cardinal directions, four classical virtues, etc. The four parts of the world, or the four corners of the world, and we've heard that one before, right? Zechariah 7:14 says that the children of Israel are going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Revelation 7 tells us about how the angels that hold back the four winds, meaning what the destruction that was going to happen throughout the entire earth. The four parts of the world, or the four corners of the world, refers to the Americas, the west, Europe is the north, Asia, the east, and Africa, the south. All right. So when you see those things, what's going to happen over here in the fourth part? Oh, they're going to cause up right there. What's up, Jay? Peace, bro. Verse 8 again. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So this fourth part of the earth is going to be hit with sword, hunger, death, and it's going to be given into its power as well. It's going to be executing these things in the earth. That's why we see America acting a fool as they are throughout the earth. Verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So these are the martyrs that their souls and spirits are being held, waiting for the judgment of the Lord so they can be avenged and they can be returned and replenished back on the earth, right? And they're waiting for this particular judgment. Now, just for time's sake, I want to jump down. Let's read, well, you know what? I can't skip that. Let's read 11. It says, And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season. So when someone dies and someone passes, they're just resting. It says for a little season, you know, because the scriptures, even in Daniel, the 12th chapter, it says that some are going to be risen to everlasting life, and some are going to be risen to everlasting shame and contempt. So the final judgment is all waiting for everybody. Just because you pass away doesn't mean it's over for you. No, the Lord said you still are at rest. Some are going to be replenished back on the earth and regenerated back to continue on their journey of either repentance or judgment. Some are being held back and waiting for the end time for their judgment. That's on the Lord. But that's how the cycle works. So it says that some is at rest for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren. So this shows you that this is a kindred thing. This is a bloodline thing. Fellow servants and also their brethren. Because remember, the servants of the Lord, according to Leviticus 25:55, is the children of Israel. The 12 tribes. We're the servants. And it says in their brethren. So that means it's got to be about, kinfolk being together, right? Let's get that real quick in the scriptures. With Leviticus 25. Fellow servants. Leviticus 25:55. For unto me the children of Israel are servants. Who is the children of Israel? It doesn't really matter. These other nations, man, they could be Bible thumping down there in the Bible Belt, man, handling serpents, and the white folks jumping around acting crazy about how much they believe the Lord. And it doesn't matter about how many Mormon missionaries are riding bikes in your neighborhood talking about no, they're not servants of the Lord. And every time they encounter us, they realize, oops, we actually ran into the real servants of the Lord. We don't know this book like we do. This is why we created the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith and all of his wickedness. And we don't even need to go there. Right? You're not going to be worried about somebody. Hey, do you know Jehovah? Here's a comic book that we're going to show you a white Christ. And hopefully you're not truly serving. First of all, you got to get back to who the Lord acknowledges as true servants. And it's coming from our people. For unto me, the children of Israel are servants. That's what the Lord said. The Lord said, that's what I'm calling for my servitude to come from my chosen people. That's who I need the service from. And everybody else is to serve them. For unto me, the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your power. That's what the Lord said, right? So those martyrs that were slain, it says they're waiting and resting a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren. So who are they waiting on? The rest of the children of Israel, man, too. They're either martyred or be brought up to speed to preach the gospel of repentance for our people to get right. But some are going to fall victim to the sword. It says that they should be killed as they were and should be fulfilled. So there is still a number that the Lord is saying, hey, there's still some that have to be martyred and sacrificed for the greater good of the cause of the people. And he said they're waiting on that as well. Verse 12, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and moon became as blood. So there's going to be great earthquakes, whether it's from natural fault lines or actual bomb, because you can see the shock waves. One of those bombs, where was it? The Iranians hit somewhere in Israel, man, and they was filming it, and the camera was shaking because they felt the shock waves from the bomb. It felt like, they feel like earthquakes, man. It says, and the sun became as black as the sackcloth of hair. Why? Because of the black smoke. The moon became as blood because of the fire, the radiation residue, things like that, right? Verse 13, it says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So it's not talking about the constellations that's going to be falling. What he's acknowledging is this right here. So that it's going to look like up to heaven. If you see any videos of a fig tree when it's shaking in the wind, when the untimely figs are there and they can get shaken, they'll fall off like, raindrops or whatever, So John the Revelator, when he's envisioning and he's getting his revelation in the spirit and he's seeing these things and he's relevating it to what it looks like to him. He can't say, hey, these are bombs and missiles dropping out the sky. No, he said, these things were looking like they was flying out the sky like stars was falling from heaven. Like if you had a fig tree, man, they got shaking in the wind and the figs are just flying and dropping on the ground. This is what they were looking like. This is just a precursor to what John was seeing. But visually, this is what you got to see what John was seeing. So you see that? All right. Here's another one. You see that? That's stars falling from heaven right there. They got them alarms ringing. They got the small hats, man, hiding out in bunkers and underground. They over there running scared right now. But you leave it to the media. They telling you they over there chopping heads off of the Arabs, man, and the tower heads over there. You would swear that it's going the other way, but we're not seeing the same type of footage on the other end, are we? I haven't seen too much of Israeli, bombs, retaliating. They're on the defense right now. So,
لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Imagine that. God is good, huh? Israel's undermined. Trump's position as Netanyahu signals the country is losing to Iran. Hold on. Didn't Trump just say we're doing very good? That dude can't tell the truth, man. He paid him every. I remember years ago, I played this video a while back, man, where he says, I try to tell the truth when I can. It's like, how hard is it to actually tell the truth if you... He says, I try to tell the truth when I can. He just got the line again, talking about, we're doing very good. Yeah, we want total surrender. That's the only way that Iran's going to get out of this. And meanwhile, Iran is the one that's actually putting belt to cheeks, with the feet out there. Israel undermined Trump's position as Netanyahu signals the country is losing to Iran. Israel undermined Trump's negotiation position on Iran by attacking the country, which Iran partly blamed on the U.S. Netanyahu is also signaling that his country is losing to Iran, an expert said. Oh. Now, if they taking L's like that, who's got to jump in. Look, Israel's running low on defensive interceptors, official says. Hold on. I'm bad. Let me fix this. Because I want y'all to see that. Notice what they're calling it, though. Notice what they call it. Israel is running low on defensive interceptors, official says. Now, notice it says what? Israel's running low on defensive arrow interceptors. Why is that important? Because we know that the arrows, when you're talking about them being utilized in warfare, these are the things that the Most High uses as metaphorical descriptions of airborne weapons being used by nations. And obviously we ain't talking about, legitimate, bows and arrows type thing. We're talking about the actual missiles that they use. You know what? No, let me get the second. I want the second as a short. This one don't say. Second Ezra 15. And then well, this one say flying swords. I meant to see the other one. Looking at Second Ezra 15:41, it says these are the things that's going to end up happening when it comes down to this destruction and warfare. With Iran, Asia, America, various nations are going to be involved in this war. Now it says this is okay. Well, let's read verse 40. We'll read down. The great and mighty cloud shall be puffed up, full of wrath, and the star that they may make all the earth afraid. So the star is like a weapon of mass destruction. That's going to make the whole earth afraid. This is when you see like movie Oppenheimer, Esau, Operation Paperclip, them coming over here, building atomic weapons, hydrogen bombs, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. These are the things that made the whole earth afraid when America displayed their power and put all the rest of the earth on notice. Anybody steps to us, you getting lit up. You're getting lit up, right? And everybody bow down. Now you see Moab, no, who is it? China, I believe, has the Moab bomb, which is interesting enough. Is it China or is it North Korea? But they've got the Moab bomb, the mother of all bombs. That's the analogy. I mean what do they call it? Not the analogy. The acronym. Thank you, dear. The acronym Moab. Let me see who got that. Is it either China or is it North Korea? Interestingly enough, they use the word Moab, which the Bible describes as the Chinese people, the Eastern Asian. Oh, it's the U.S. My bad. I could have sworn Moab has it, but the Massive Ordnance Air Blast, or the mother of all bombs, they're going to use Moab, is the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the U.S. arsenal. Right. So they've got that on deck. What's the name? Got Satan too. Russia. So they're out here drumming up these particular weapons. Now it says that they're going to make the whole earth afraid with this star, and them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out over every high and eminent place a horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords. What are flying swords? These are aerially fired weapons that destroy. That was the only thing that Ezra could acknowledge. He said, man, these things were flying in the air like swords. They were cutting up and destroying just like a sword would cut and destroy and cause death. Right? Yeah, that's a good one too, Bayan. I was looking for this other one in Psalms about the juniper. I'm going to find that in a second. But yeah, verse 16. I mean, chapter 16. And we'll read 12 and 13. It says, the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof. The sea riseth up with waves from the deep. And the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. For as strong as his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. So when the Lord pulls his bow back, man, they're not coming back void. They're going to hit their target. They're going to destroy what they're set out to hit. Okay. And also it says, for strong is his right hand and bendeth the bow, his arrows that shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. When they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. So when the Lord sends forth these judgments, they're not coming back void. That's how the Most High uses them. Okay, now let's go over to Psalms. Psalms 120. Psalm 120. And we're going to read 1 down to 4. It says, in my distress I cried unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Yahweh, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? Verse 4, Here it goes. Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. Now, if you look at the juniper, it's a strong root that's held up that, you know, certain arrows are being made, but it says the coals of the juniper. So when it's lit on fire, the juniper root burns for a long time. When it gets burnt, it's good like firewood, right? Now it's saying these arrows are going to be fueled with heat coming from the bottom of them. Like the staff is juniper, it's burning long, and it's shot like an arrow. What else could you make those particular things out to be? When the Lord says that this is how the judgments and the destruction of the mighty is going to happen. See, when the Lord puts these things out, this is what ends up happening. Let's go over here. I'm gonna get one more with Elam and verse Jeremiah 49. And Jeremiah 49:35. It says, "Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might." So Elam is speaking about the East Indians, speaking about even the descendants of Iran and some of the the Middle Easterners, primarily the East Indians, right? Pakistan. It says that the chief of their might is the bow. So when you're looking at, remember I've made this reference before. When you look at that scene on 300, and you see what was the king? He's in what's the name? But in the script they call him Ahasuerus, but in he was also why am I drawing a blank? Give me 1 second. Let me get my sword out. Yeah, I think it was Xerxes. What? Xerxes the first. And you see that sign, that scene in the 300, and they launched all of them arrows, and they told the Greek Spartans, they said, man, that they launched missiles so much that it will block out the sun. And when they shot all them arrows out, because that was the primary weapon of the Persians. They were masters and experts of the bow. Just like now, Iran has been selling drones and to Russia and various other nations. Pakistan's got nukes, right? This is why you've seen all them videos of Netanyahu I played earlier when he was talking about Duwada Askarab. That you're right, Xerxes. Who else do we got? They got the drone. When you seen Netanyahu, and he was talking about, all it's going to take them is less than a year to make a nuke. I mean, you got to have the inside knowledge, and all they need is the uranium to do it. I've seen reports where they said they can make it within weeks, where it takes other nations years to figure out how to make it. So these are the things that are being put out there, right? And this is why when you see a headline where it says, oh, well, they're calling them arrow interceptors. Well, the arrows is coming from where? They're coming from Iran. The arrows are the missiles. These are the things that they need to block. That's a biblical reference that's now being played out there. You utilize the biblical terms where you're seeing a shortage of arrow interceptors. Why do they call them arrow? Why not just missile interceptors? Because now we can relate with it. Okay, this is what the scripture is talking about. Oh, but they're running low. So that Iron Dome is running out. And it's faltering. Look, Moab telling them Chinese embassy in Israel advises Chinese citizens to leave Israel ASAP. And we know China is on record saying that they are not with what's going on and they're standing behind Iran. Russia's on record saying we're standing behind Iran. Even Russia came out and told America, look at this. Russia warns strike on Iran's Bashir nuclear plant could cause a Chernobyl-style catastrophe. This nuclear plant Bashir nuclear plant. This is one of the ones that they're talking about. They might need to use a bunker busting bomb to destroy it. Well, the problem with that is that the Russians are over there working and helping build and establish it. So if America goes through with this, they're not only going to kill civilian Russians over there that's working, but also the fallout from the nuclear, the blast and the destruction, the fallout from the nuclear radiation will make this place uninhabitable for years on end. People are going to die from radiation poison. I don't know if there's any, agriculture around there. Probably not. But they're saying America better watch what they're doing. America's going to tell me, oh, we need to go ahead and disable them. We can't let them have any access to nukes. And Russia's like, hey, we're over there. Watch what you're doing. Look, the head of Russia's Nuclear Energy Corporation warned on Thursday that an Israeli attack on Iran's Bashir nuclear power plant could lead to a Chernobyl-style catastrophe. If you want to know about Chernobyl, just look it up. There was a nuclear power plant that was that blew up back in the 80s. It was an accident and, had that place uninhabitable. I think they said 50 people had died. The radiation poison over there is all jacked up, man. The dogs is over there mutating. There's all kind of madness going on over there. So they're saying if you hit this, you're gonna have a similar thing over here in Iran, and it's not what you need to be doing. An Israeli military spokesperson said Israel had struck the site, but an Israeli military official later called the statement a quote mistake and said he would neither confirm nor deny that the Bashir site on the coast of the Gulf had been hit. It's probably supposed to say coast. Bashir is Iran's only operating nuclear plant and was built by Russia. Let me see. Where does it say? See, it says they've got hundreds of people. Russia's evacuated some of the specialists from Bashir and said, but the core workforce, which Putin said numbered hundreds of people, remain on the site. So Putin's saying basically, man, if you hit over there, you hitting us, we got to take that personal, let alone the destruction that you're going to be causing with this nuclear fallout, man. So, and you see the Israelis already tried to light it up once and failed. And they was like, oh, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have put that out there. Oh, too late. It's already out there. Okay. Look at this. Here's another report. I didn't put this in the thing, but you can see it. Alarming. Fox report says tactical nukes are not off the table for a Trump's Iran response. So they've been saying tactical is not off the table. Long time ago, they wouldn't even been talking about this, man. They just said, oh, you Israelite crazy Negroes, man. Y'all don't know the nuke. Ain't nothing happening, but nobody's crazy enough to do that. Oh, really? That's changed now, right? Salaki. Hold on. I didn't mean to press on this picture. How am I getting out of here? All right. So we see that that's even part of the scenario, right? China's telling their people to get up out of there. America warning people to get up out of there before the bombs start flying from Israel to Iran. So they know what they're doing. Look, Americans warned to urgently evacuate Israel by air and sea as Iran crisis deepens. They were saying that even when they told the Iranians to get out of there, that they were putting down travel restrictions. People couldn't leave. I mean, the streets was jam-packed. People couldn't leave, man. It's like, where are you going to go? Even in Israel, they're saying that people can't leave. They're saying not a Jew is locking down over there and people can't leave. As they're telling people to get up out of there, but unless you got some sort of high military clearance or something like that, you ain't getting up out of there. Look, U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee announced evacuation flights will be taking place for those wishing to flee Israel. He added that cruise ships will also be standing by. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee announced evacuation flights and cruise ship departure for those wishing to leave Israel after last week's voluntary evacuation notice. They saying urging those Americans and citizens wanting to leave Israel. But if I can find that other article, they said that. No. No, that's not it. There was a I can't find that particular article. I don't want to waste too much more time on it, but there was some articles saying that he was making it hard for people to leave. In other words, right? Let's continue on. Look, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. So there's multiple evacuations jumping up. The Chinese, the small hat frauds is out there running for their lives, man. The Ishmael's over there running for. They ain't even Ishmael. Iranians. Some say they Ishmael, some say that, you know, it's a little mixture, man. They got the Ottoman Turks over there, the Edomites over there with them. But nonetheless, call them Ishmael or Persians for scriptural sake. They're being told get up out of there, right? Look, the White House says Trump to decide on attacking Iran within the next 2 weeks. So put that on your notebooks. America will be utilizing, they just said tactical nukes isn't off the table. Trump is trying to kick the can down the road, saying, give me a couple of weeks before I just decide all hell's going to break loose. Well, what's a couple of weeks? I mean, damn near what? So-called July 4th, Independence Day. What better time than the 250-year anniversary of this bogus great nation to initiate the biggest strike in their history in their attempt to try to overthrow Iran and complete their mission of trying to destabilize the Middle East. Why not? 2 weeks, right? Because his whole little military parade on his birthday last week was a dud. Didn't nobody show up to that crap. So what better way than, I'm just saying in the spirit. He said, because earlier this week they said it was in a matter of days. Then he just came back and said, oh, it could be within the next 2 weeks then. What's today? The 20th? 14 days from now will be what? July 4th. I'm just saying. Spirit just told me, why not, man? July 4th, so-called 1776. Oh, and the 250-year anniversary of the military and all this other crap. Why not make a statement and do it then? We shall see. Bunker busting missile strikes shakes Israeli faith in their safety. Oh, now they're scared. Well, that's okay, because remember, that's going to be the prevailing spirit on the earth anyway, even by the elites. Oh, I said Revelation 9. I want 6. Let me go back to 6. I didn't finish that. Back to Revelation 6 and verse 15, it says, and the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and their chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man. So remember, they're going to need people to work in these particular bunkers. You see these bunkers, man, these cats are dropping coin, major shekels on these things, man, multi-million dollars, man. They've got, they're in. Some of y'all may have seen, if y'all ain't never seen some of the videos and documentaries that they've done regarding, you know, the preppers and these bunker communities, man. They got some in Colorado. They got them all over the place. These underground bunkers, man, they live in them like whole new cities, man. They got storage facilities down there, food for years, movie theaters, pools, windows on there that you can digitally change so you look like you're looking outside and it looks like it's wintertime. And meanwhile, you're 200 feet under the earth. I mean, they really over here trying to make a whole new society under there, thinking they're gonna hide down there, man. But guess what? They're gonna need some people to operate them things. They're gonna need some people to, work them and serve them down there and all that. That's why the bomb man's gonna be down there, not because he's, some old established nigga. No, you going down there to work, man, to be a damn slave. Hiding, thinking, boss, a Stephen from Django. You dig what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they can try to get you a few coons down there with you. They're going to invest, but what they going to say? Verse 16, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. They think they're going to be hiding under these bunkers in mountains and rocks, hiding from judgment and hiding from him that sitteth on the throne. Who sits on the throne? Yahushua. And from the wrath of the Lamb. Slack. Sitting on the throne of the Most High, and from the wrath of the Lamb, who's Yahushua. I thought Christ was coming back to love everybody. He's got turtle doves flying on the side of him. He's got rose petals in one hand, a harp in the other, and hugs to give everybody, man. Whosoever love. No, it said he's coming back with wrath. Didn't he say vengeance is mine? Didn't Isaiah the 63rd chapter say he's going to come back through Basra looking like he stomped out in the wine press? His garment's going to be stained with blood. Revelation 19:11 says he's going to come with a sharp two-edged sword in his hand. And they think hiding into some bunker is going to protect them. They can't even protect themselves from their own bunkers right now. What are they talking about? It is asinine for them to think, look, you can't even stop yourselves from bombing each other. I mean, look. Here they are thinking that these bunkers are going to protect themselves from the Most High, the angels, and Yahushua, and they can't even protect them from their own weapons. Imagine the chariots. Come on, man. Wow. Look, Isaiah 2, verse 8, we'll read down to verse 10. It says, the land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. Yeah, America is full of idol worship. The so-called white man, from the whole concept of having a show called American Idol. You dig what I'm saying? Like, this is what they thrive on. They thrive off of worshiping idol gods, money, the occult, witchcraft. All of these things is what they thrive on. It says, then the mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth themselves. Therefore, forget them not. Verse 10, enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. Right? So they think they're going to enter the rock. They're going to hide in the dust. They're going to bury themselves in the ground. No, they're going to get bust down and destroyed. And just the fact that they know that they have the technology to do it themselves should let them know that it is vain to think that you're going to hide in some rocks, man, and think I'm going to pop out, 10 years down the line, I'm going to replenish the earth like you, the New Age Noahs. Not happening. Not happening. Okay. Bunker busting missile strike shakes Israeli faith in their safety. Yeah, they're scared now because they realize that, oops, this didn't work. There's some reports of them saying they already are tired of living underground in them bunkers. And it ain't been but 10 days. How the hell they expect to be down there with 25 years storage food supply? They ain't staying down there that long. I've seen reports that I'm talking about where we can't live down here for we're tired of being underground. They're in trouble. Charred around the edges, the entry hole on the corner of a high-rise apartment block is only about 10 feet across. But as it turned out, that was all the more devastating for the residents inside. Rather than detonating its roughly 700-kilogram warhead on the external walls of the residential block, the Iranian ballistic missile traveled right into the heart of the structure. It exploded only when it struck the reinforced bunker nestling in the core of the building. 4 people were killed, 2 of them inside the shelter. So much for that. So much for that. Right? Oh, well, who else is backing him? A Trojan backs Iranian response to Israel. Who's a Trojan? Oh, this is Turkey. Tehran has a legal right to defend itself from West Jerusalem's banditry and state terrorism, the Turkish president has said. Why is this important? Well, look down here. In biblical text, Gomer and Togarmah are identified as descendants of Japheth, with their lands traditionally associated with parts of modern-day Turkey and Armenia. Why is that important? Because when we read in Ezekiel 38, we hear about Togarmah, we read about Gomer, right? So we know about verse 4, about the Most High turning back and putting the hooks in the jaws of Putin and the Russians, arming them up, telling them get ready. Persia is going to be along with them, which is Iran. Ethiopia, Libya with them. Remember, Libya was one of the nations that got conquered and destroyed by America. They won't get back. Ethiopia is close down by Yemen and the Houthis and all of that, right? Even I showed you last week, Ethiopia has agreements with Russia, military and economic agreements with them. With them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togarmah. So we're talking about Turkey and elements of and other elements of even down to like Pakistan. All of these lands is surrounding these particular places, man. And you look, you see down here, here's Russia, here's Turkey. You see these lands over here, Gomer. You get down here, Iraq, you got Iran. Next to them is Pakistan, Syria. All of these nations are all going to assemble against America, NATO, and then even then, NATO and them nations are going to turn against America when it's all said and done. Right? So this is just prophetic alone. When you see now Turkey is entering into the fray and they're saying, who are we siding with? We're riding with our boys. We're riding with Iran, which we know that Turkey is backed away from the EU. They're a member of NATO, but we can obviously see that their loyalty is going to be to Islam and their brothers. At the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. All right. Remember, I said a long time ago, man, Trump said Iran is the only nation he can't make a deal with because it's based upon their faith and their religion. It ain't about money. It ain't about this. How you know? Even in Ezekiel, the 7th chapter, you can't bribe these people, man. When it comes down to America, Babylon, the destruction of the bloody city, what's going to happen? It says, verse 19, Ezekiel 7:19, they shall cast their silver in the streets and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. So when it comes down to it, America's not going to be able to buy or pay their way out of it. You can't make no deals. You can't, get them to help finance America and build up and make America affordable again or great again and none of the above. You try to get them, they like, man, please, this is for Allah, this is for Muhammad, this is for silver, gold, man, please. Bombs away. It says they should not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. Yeah, because America is thriving off of idol worship. You read up early in the chapter, the silver and the gold were being made of idols. And they're going to try to flip and say, well, here, try this food, try this money, get in on this economy with us. And Iran is like, man, get the hell out of here, man. Slow Biden just gave us $6 billion back, man. We're good. And they got more money before that. And they got oil, they got resources, and the BRICS. Now with Russia and China, Pakistan and the rest of the nations, Brazil, South Africa. They're good. They don't need it. That's why Trump is like, man, They ain't no negotiating with the people, man. We just got to bomb them. Right? So we see what and where Turkey fits into this. Look, Iran and Russia deepen alliance amid U.S. tensions. One, hold on. This thing, the text, I want to make sure y'all can see what it says. Why it matters. See, this is something we just looking at when it says that Persia, first nation that the Most High acknowledged that Gog and Magog was going to have to be a guard to and protect and be there for and be in allegiance with was Persia, meaning who? Iran. Here's two headlines here. Iran and Russia deepen alliance amid U.S. tensions. Here's another one. Iran seals Russia defense pact as U.S. nuclear tensions rise. A defense pact, right? Why is that important that it's acknowledged as a defense pact? Because what did the scripture say that Russia's job was going to be in these last days in their allegiance to Iran? Verse 7 of Ezekiel 38, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. What's that? A guard, a protector, a defense for them. And what are we seeing here in the headlines? Iran, however you want to pronounce it. They sealed a Russian defense pact as U.S. nuclear tensions rise. Why does it matter? The agreement deepens Iran's alignment with Russia at a time when both countries are under intense pressure from Western sanctions. For Tehran, the pact offers a strategic hedge as nuclear talks with the U.S. falter over uranium enrichment. For Moscow, it secures a critical partner in the Middle East amid its ongoing war in Ukraine and growing isolation from the West. The timing also underscores a broader geopolitical realignment as Iran and Russia seek to challenge U.S. influence by building alternative defense and economic frameworks. You can't make this up, man. All praise to the Most High. Let's move on. Oh, Pakistan. You see where they're located? Right here. Neighbors to Iran, right? Pakistan Defense Minister Khwaja Asif, all Muslim countries should fight united against Israel. We are standing by Iran in every way. Urdu Daily says Pakistan has announced the protection of Iranian interests on every forum. So Pakistan has jumped in and said, look, we got Iran's back to the end. We're riding with our Muslim brothers. And guess what? We got nukes too. Uh-oh. Well, Iran doesn't have the nukes, but guess who said, we got them, don't worry. Pakistan. And Pakistan is obviously neighbors and allies with Iran, so they're riding right along with the Persians. They're there with Torgama. They're there with Gomer. They're making an alliance. And remember, Pakistan is part of the BRICS alliance as well. I could have sworn they let them in. Maybe I'm off on that one, but they're looking to get in. They're looking to get in this BRICS economy, right? Pakistan is seeking membership in the BRICS group, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, primarily for economic benefits and support from member countries. However, its application faces challenges, particularly due to the need for consensus among existing members, including India, which is likely to oppose Pakistan's entry. Oh, okay, my bad. I could have sworn they got in, but no, they gotta work that thing out with India first. But nonetheless, when it's all said and done, Pakistan said that we got nukes, man. We riding with Iran. So there goes another line drawn in the sand as we're seeing everything start to formulate. The regime change emerges as unstated goal of Israel's war in Iran, but Trump unconvinced. You know, that's why he said, we don't want a ceasefire. We want to end everything. So it's either by regime change or it's going to have to be all out war, as he says, obliterate Iran, especially if something happens to me. I'm already writing it down. So go figure. Coming to America in 2025, the U.S. to someplace looks less like a dream and more like a place to avoid. Oh yeah, the allure of America is starting to tarnish, man. That mother harlot, man, had the purple and the scarlet and the costly array and everything else, man. She looking like a broke down hoe out there right now. Ain't nobody trying to mess with America right now, man. Tourism is down. You got expats running in droves trying to get up out of here, getting dual citizenship, leaving every place, man, taking their wealth and their money with them. America ain't that nice place no more, man. Remember, the scriptures even said, "Come out of her, my people. Be not partakers of her sin." People are fleeing. Even in Isaiah the 13th chapter, it says that people are going to run back to their own countries. They ain't going to be wanting to be part of this melting pot no more, man. This thing is bubbling over. People are feeling the heat. And ain't nobody trying to come here like that no more. Continuing on, look at this. Go viral for racist behavior and receive $750,000 inside the new extremist crowdfunding campaigns. You know, this is where you're seeing nation rising against nation. I've documented a few times where you got these neo-Nazi groups, man. They over here doing MMA. They out here training. You know, they at the range. They doing their thing. And niggas is out here shooting each other up, getting high, popping pills, acting a damn fool. And our opposition is over there strapping up and getting ready. Now, this is on the precipice of them showing this. There was a viral video, man, of this damn demon white broad, man, who, now, even though he was a little Ethiopian kid, I think he was, playing on the swings, man, and she went on a whole little tirade, man, called him an N-word and all this other stuff, man. And then she went and got $750,000 from a crowdfunding Give Send Go account, saying that she feared for her life and lost her job and some more stuff. So now they're being rewarded for going viral for speaking how they really feel. She has the nerve to have the name Shiloh. But I'm sure some of y'all have seen it. Brothers put me onto this a few weeks back. I hadn't seen it. But over in Minnesota, some of y'all seen this, man. A little white broad said that, and I think the kid was like autistic or something too, little black kid. And she went wild. And then the dude that was filming, she doubled down and was calling him a nigga. Like, and she got rewarded with almost $1 million. You know, we can't say that the people over there living in the land are squatting and they aren't the real people and they're imposters and fake and frauds without being called a hate group and having channels shut down and, you know, social media profile without being categorized as black identity extremists. And you dig what I'm saying? Like, the rules ain't the same. White woman go out there looking like she just got putting down the meth pipe and calling somebody a nigger, and she gets $750,000. A kid at that. You go out there and speak the truth, man, and you got to go back to boss, man, and working till your fingernails fall off and killing yourself just to live, and then get your whole life collapsed and canceled. This is how you know this place is destined for real upheaval. And notice that what they're doing right now is they're trying to divert the blacks and Hispanics' attention away from this and focus on each other. With this immigration thing, man, you got the Southern Kingdom battling the Northern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom saying, well, how come the black folks, y'all didn't come out here and ride with us on this immigration thing? Why are black folks sitting this one out? And black folks are like, well, y'all didn't come to our aid when we needed it. You always need us to jump to the forefront and head stuff on. We sitting this one. Now that whole diversionary tactic, man, the divide and conquer situation is prevailing and winning because at the end all be all, man, Northern Kingdom 10 tribes still getting hunted down, getting snatched up out of, you know, everywhere from damn churches, amusement parks to jobs and being ran off of farms and everything else. And Negroes are still sitting back in the hood doing whatever. Ain't nothing changed. And these people is out here making a come up, talking wild about our people. Look at this. Shiloh Hendricks, a white woman based in Rochester, Minnesota, went viral after admitting in a video that she called a 5-year-old black child the N-word while at a local park on April 28th. Though Hendricks was met with widespread condemnation and denouncement after the incident, she also raised $750,000 on the crowdfunding website GiveSendGo, commonly used by extremists to fundraise for far-right causes. Many contributors to Hendricks' campaign, which was created to protect Hendricks' family after backlash, used racial slurs and Nazi symbols in their donation names. As of June 1st, over 30,000 people have donated to Hendricks fundraisers. So that lets you know 30,000 with money, influence, are donating to help this little trailer park trash meth head. And they gave that bread up, man. You know, these are people that are your supervisors, managers, corporate heads, CEOs, so forth and so on, donating big bread. And this is how they really feel, man. Our people got to wake up, man. We falling for the monkey in the tail, the banana in the tailpipe, man, at each other's throats because we didn't go do people didn't go out there and do a vain march or vain protest. Because ain't nothing changed. All that the hype is over with, right? Is there any more protests jumping off? If so, let me know. I haven't seen any more since the last 2 weeks. That got shut down, man. The military hit them streets, man. It's over with out here. They did the No Kings Day last week, man, headed up by the so-called white man to meet them. They was out there heavy. That kind of just drowned it out, the immigration situation. And after that, it's all gone. And what's left is the aftermath of blacks and Hispanics at each other's throats talking about why you didn't get our back. We ain't getting your back. You niggas, we ain't doing that for you. And you wetbacks, we ain't messing with y'all. We back to that again. Slick, man, how the devil works. We got to wake up. Moving on. Look, Jerome Powell, head of the Fed chair, he just came out a couple of days ago. He said, hey, the labor market's looking good. Everything's fine. I'm not touching the interest rates. Nobody's getting these layoffs. Is few. Everybody's got that. You got jobs. Hold on to them. He said that whether there isn't going to be a lot of job creation, there's not going to be. If you ain't got a job, you're going to have a hard time finding one. But what's the real? The biggest companies across America are cutting their workforces. He lied. He said everything's fine. We know that they've been, cooking the books. They ain't telling the truth about unemployment numbers. They ain't telling the truth about the economy. Jerome Powell, he just came out and just said the economy is great. Employment numbers is good. He said job creation is down, however, but hey, if you got a job, good for you. You ain't got one, you SOL. But nobody's getting laid off. I can't tell. The biggest companies across America are cutting their workforces. How about this? Amazon says it's going to reduce its workforce as AI replaces human employees. How long have we been saying that? AI, robots, they're going to take jobs. You're going to be replaced. They want you to do the hard work of programming, manipulating, and showing the damn thing how to work. And then once it's done, oh, Johnny, you're laid off. Tyrone, goodbye. Jesus, you're gone. You dig what I'm saying? So the AI, and remember, Agent Orange just dropped $500 billion for AI technology, man. He said they want to be the leader in AI. So what's that mean for us? What's that mean for you, me, and anybody else that's going to continue to need to feed your family and work when there ain't no jobs left? You already know what time it is. Iran is preparing missile strike possible to the U.S. bases. All right, we know that so far. Look at this, man. Lutnick hails Trump's $5 million investor visa as almost 70,000 apply. Remember, Trump got the Trump gold card. Look how vain he is, man. He can't get his name on a dollar bill, but he can get you, he wants that ugly mug of his on some gold card to get you immediately shot to the front of the line for your immigration status. $5 million on the gold card, man. You in there. 70,000 people are waiting for it. That's how much money these people are willing to spend to come on over here and be a part of the new America that's going to be held, upheld by elitist so-called whites, man, running this thing, man, and getting rid of all of this so-called migrants, the brown people. You getting up out of here. We're going to make a new utopia for the elite white folks to come over here, and we're going to run the beast. We're going to ride the beast like the mother harlot says in Revelation 17. We're going to control this thing, man. Come on over if you want a piece of the pie. If you can't pay to play, remember I tell you, man, everything's for sale with him. He ain't tracking down the damn Chinese, man, who's the biggest immigrants in the U.S. They ain't raiding Chinatown, Koreatown. They ain't doing that. They going after the Hispanics, man. They want to get rid of our people. They going after the Haitians. They going after the Israelites, man. Blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics. They're trying to get us up out of here, man. And then you got the rich migrants, man. They coming over here and say 5 million. That's all. Fast track. I'm in there. And I'm going to get the ear of the president so we can get some more influence over here. This place is wicked, man. The gold card. Remember, your silver and gold thrown in the streets, man. They go representation of it right there. Another item with his face on it. Look at this other lie, man. Remember the scripture said, when he speaketh fair, believe him not, because the 7 abominations in his heart. Watch this.
Traveling solo doesn't mean being disconnected.
Come on.
That's why I use
Happening now, the Department of Homeland Security has reversed course on guidance limiting immigration raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants. Last week, President Trump said he would protect those industries because of worker shortages. Trump.
Did you hear that? Remember the scriptures in Sirach 13, it says, if he had needed thee, he'll use thee. And after he's used thee, he'll laugh you to scorn. Paraphrasing that verse. Now, remember, last week he said we got to do something. Some people may be here, they may not have everything they have to have, but we got to do something. We can't let these people do this. Some people been here 20 years, been good people, Remember all that he said last week? It didn't take 7 days for him to switch up, and the Department of Homeland Security said, reverse on that, boss. Never trust our enemy, man. DHS reversing guidance. Immigration raids are continuing on farms and hotels. Let's go.
To farms, hotels, and restaurants. Last week, President Trump said he would protect those industries because of worker shortages. Trump addressing the raids today.
Look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities. You're looking everywhere. Look what they let into this country, what Biden let in that we're allowed to.
See, there you go. Biden again. This dude, look. Slow Biden can't catch a break with him, but see, that's the diversion. That's like a dog whistle, man, for these Republicans. You blow that dog whistle, man, you can't hear it if you're human, but the dog hear it and the dog go crazy. When he say Biden, man, they forget everything he didn't say, and that sour taste of slow Biden in their mouth. They like, that's right, it was Biden's fault. Now Biden was a damn demon too, but guess what? They play these games, man. Look at that shiny nose, man. It's like it's growing right now. You talk about Pinocchio, man. There you go. Look, he says we're looking everywhere, but the inner cities is really where the problems lie.
Trump said he would protect those industries because of worker shortages. Trump addressing the raids today.
Look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities. You're looking everywhere. Look what they let into this country, what Biden let in that we're allowed to. I don't think he knew what the hell he was doing, frankly.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has been under pressure from the White House to ramp up raids. Today, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said that 75% of the people ICE has arrested so far were convicted criminals.
Come on, man. These dudes be lying and be cooking the books. It's just like they said, the one guy, man, that they just deported back to America that came from Maryland. He was MS-13. This guy was a gangster. They brought him back just so they can charge him for trafficking migrants. Not to free him. Not that he was, arrested illegally. This, that, and the third. Like, come on, man. So now they just pop out of nowhere, man. Oh yeah, 75% of them are criminals. Meanwhile, there's all kind of people they've been arresting that were legal citizens. People out there, they just remember last week, Tom Homan said that the raids that they were doing at these factories and all, they were for cartels. Oh no, not cartels. It's because of tax evasion. It's not tax evasion. Oh, it's because of tariff evasion. We'll figure it out. We'll remember that. You can't trust these people, man. So Trump went back on his word, lied, but I can't call him the devil though. I can't say he's a deceiver. I can't say that. That's wrong. Why not? He lied. He's a deceiver. That's a devil, man. Went against and went back on his word.
Happening now that.
Let's move on. U.S. officials preparing for possible strike on Iran coming day. No, they said a couple of weeks. We'll move on. Look, Delta, United and American caught selling traveler data to feds in explosive new leak. So guess who's working against you? The Real ID is getting implemented. So they're already, lining up the tracking and everything else for travel, wherever you go and all that other stuff, right? You got Palantir on deck, Oracle on deck. They're creating the surveillance grid, and they've got the travel companies already involved selling, not cooperating. They're making profits off of passenger data. At least 8 major airlines, including Delta, own the data brokers selling passenger data to the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. See how that works, man? This is the same thing they did with the Patriot Act. They did the 9/11 thing. Look up the Patriot Act. You see what that's about. Basically violating your so-called rights of protection and privacy for the betterment of the country. It's how we're going to get the terrorists. That's how we're going to weed out. But now we need to make sure that we're able to get access to your travel data. We need to make sure that you're legitimate. Look, Biden let in all these illegals, man. Hey, we got to straighten this thing out. We got to clean house, man. So we need everybody to submit to these new guidelines for monitoring, tracing, tracking, the whole nine, facial recognition. We need all this stuff for your protection, because these criminal migrants are all over the place. You ready to surrender your rights? And people going to say, yeah, we see what's going on. We saw the riots and we saw the protests and we see what Biden did. They were sleeping on the streets all over the place. And they got gangs, Trinity Agua. They take my rights, please. Problem, reaction, solution. You already know. Amid Iran's threat to Israel, and look at how many nuclear warheads Pakistan has. So again, I made mention Pakistan is a nuclear power. They got some nukes on deck, and they said they're ready to use them for Iran. We got to watch that. Man. A lot on the plate, man. I hate to, have to overwhelm y'all, man, but as I get it, I got to dish it out. Hopefully you can receive it. Hopefully you swallowed it. Hopefully you got some understanding tonight through the spirit and power of the Most High while you're outside, man. Bless Shabbat to everybody. Hopefully this was edifying for peoples out there, man. Salute to everybody that stayed up with me tonight. Most High willing, catch y'all tomorrow for a closing Shabbat class, man. 4:15, Messengers of the Covenant, man. Tap in with us if you're available. You free? Come on in, man. What else you got to do? It's a Sabbath, huh? Unless you're out there doing the works, man. Come on, tap in with us, man. Catch up with us. If you weren't able to catch this live tonight and you're watching it tomorrow, the Sandman got you tonight, man. Sandman got you. You fell asleep. You're just listening to me right now, man. Your phone is, fell on your face or your TV is watching you right now, man. And you're like, damn, I fell asleep. I didn't get to finish. Let me finish watching. You watching this right now on the day of the Shabbat, man. Shabbat shalom to you. All right, it's all good. You woke up. It's all good. No problem. Right? Finish it out. All right. If you haven't already, man, make sure you wipe them feet, man. You came up in here. Show some honor, show some respect, man. Show some love. Hit them thumbs up, man. Let's keep the algorithm cracking, man. Share this with your people. Share it with your folks. Share it on your social medias. Do what you need to do, man. Time is of the essence, y'all. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out, man. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Have a blessed evening. See y'all in the near future. Shalom.